So I'd like to do an exercise today, something that is meant to help us actually see ourselves. How often do we look ourselves in the mirror on a daily basis, whether we're brushing our teeth, primping ourselves after getting out of the shower? How often do we walk past a reflective surface and see ourselves there, kind of carrying on in the world, and fail to really see ourselves? Kind of just take for granted, I am who I am, I look like what I look like, here I am, without really taking time to be in that moment with yourself. This exercise is both meant to kind of ground and anchor you in a moment of intimacy with yourself. And it's also kind of loosely inspired by the idea of, if you want to get to know someone or feel intimacy with them, you can sit with them and look them in the eyes and look at them for 2, 3, 5 minutes and not say anything. Just sit and live in each other's gaze for a moment. And apparently, this does wondrous things in terms of increasing our sense of connection and intimacy with other people, whether that is a romantic partner, whether that is a friend. It's incredibly awkward to do, just sitting in silence and looking at someone else. And I think the same sort of principles apply when we look at ourselves. Things bubble up that we don't really think about in the moment, especially if we're not doing this intentionally. But it's important to pay attention to those things. So for this exercise, you'll have to either do it after this video or take this video to a place where you have access to a mirror. I want you to either stand or sit in front of the mirror. Try and be comfortable as you can be. And just look at yourself. Look yourself in the eye. Survey your face. Depending on the size of the mirror, look at other features. Look at your body, your arms, your torso, your ears. Focus on various parts of your body, various parts of yourself. And pay attention to what comes up. Are there certain feelings that come up? Certainly, we would love to have feelings of compassion and love and affection come to the surface. I think for many of us, that's not the first thing that comes up. This exercise is also somewhat inspired by an experience I had many years ago when I was still living in New York. And our bathroom was set up so that when you open the shower curtain, the mirror was right there. And I remember opening the curtain and seeing myself in the mirror, and in this flash felt this part of me come forward that was like, I hate you. Very powerful. Very unexpected. Luckily, I was in a place where I could spend some time and be with that part of myself and try to understand it better. But it really demonstrated to me that we often don't have moments of seeing ourselves, that when we do, we sometimes ignore the things that come up, and that the things that come up can be very instructive about how we see ourselves, about the parts of ourselves that are activated. So spend some time, 3, 5 minutes if you can, more if you can. Just look at yourself. Notice yourself. I want you to simultaneously kind of internalize that this is you, but also try and put yourself in the mind of like, this is someone I'm seeing on the street, and what comes up. If there are negative emotions that arise or emotions that you might struggle with, see if you can engage those parts of yourself in dialogue. I know it may sound strange to have conversations with ourselves in our own heads, but there can be a lot of insight and learning that comes from that as parts of us bubble up. And so if there are challenging emotions that you experience, try and find out where they're coming from. Talk to the parts of yourself that are feeding into those narratives and try to understand why. And if you can, if there are negative emotions that come up, try and bring compassion to not just the emotion, but to the part of you that feels that. Bring compassion to your whole self. Don't try and shut out parts of you that may be saying things you don't want to hear. By leaving open space for these parts of ourselves, we actually make them more accessible. And in making them more accessible, the goal is to be able to be in conversation with them as a way to really understand them. And it's not so much about validating what they're saying as true, especially if they have negative things to say or things that might be perceived as hurtful. But it's more so, we're not trying to stuff these things down. We're trying to have a better understanding of ourselves, and we do that by understanding our parts, the hurt parts, the angry parts, the inner child parts. And so as things bubble up, try to dig deeper. Ask why. I think you'll be surprised at the answers that come back. There's a lot of capacity for wisdom within you, and there are parts of us that hold that wisdom, whether they're parts that we want to listen to or not. And so again, by creating space, we put ourselves in a better position to learn more about ourselves, to bring compassion to the parts of ourselves that are hurting. And all of that then is integrated into not only ourselves, but how we see ourselves. So as you stand and look at yourself in the mirror, be fully present in this moment. Think of it as a form of meditation. Be here with yourself and pay attention to what comes up. I would encourage you to do this sort of communion in the mirror as often as feels comfortable. I think it's a great way to continue learning about ourselves, continue providing a space for the parts of ourselves to come out. To bring compassion to how we perceive ourselves. And that, at the end of the day, is really what strengthens the loving parent, having that compassion, seeing ourselves in a compassionate light. But really, we have to start first by seeing ourselves at all. And the reality is many of us don't on a day-to-day basis. We pay no attention to ourselves. We pay no attention to ourselves because we see the world through our own eyes and we don't see ourselves in it. And so this exercise is meant to just place you in the world, to give you a better sense of your identity, and to reframe it with compassion over time. I hope whatever comes up, you can be gentle with yourself. I hope you find a lot of insight in it. Thank you for your practice today. I'll see you back here next time.